is the fifth president of the Republic of Sierra Leone. Elected in March 2018, he promised Sierra Leoneans he would fight corruption and poverty and run the country in a disciplined, honest, and professional manner. Because of his crucial role in creating Sierra Leone's multi-party system and attaining peace in the country, he is fondly referred to as Sierra Leone's father of democracy. President Julius Maada Bio was born on May 12, 1964, in Tihan, just 3 years after Sierra Leone won its independence. His father was the paramount chief of the Subeni chiefdom in Bantu district, Charlie Bio II, whom he lost at the tender age of 4. His mother was a businesswoman, Madame Ami Navo Bio, fondly called Ye Ami. She profoundly influenced him and instilled in him the values of hard work and the importance of education. This deep commitment to education is something that President Bio has made a key objective throughout his life, and particularly in his presidency, when he prioritized access to free quality primary and senior secondary school education for all Sierra Leoneans. President Bio's education owes everything to his mother's deep belief in learning and his supportive elder sister's Agnes Dean Jallo, who was a teacher. President Bio was sent from his birthplace of Tihan to live with his sister Agnes in Pujao, a bigger town where he took his common entrance examination for secondary school at the Holy Family Primary School. His sister Agnes guided him to gain entry to the prestigious Bo Government Secondary School, popularly known as Bo School. He soon became admired for his hard work, maturity, discipline, and calmness. He was voted prefect of discipline, and at the end of his 6th form year, he was presented with the highly coveted Principal's Proficiency Prize. Bio Julius Maada, with admission number 3919, scored good O and A-level grades when he took the WIAC, the West African Examinations Council exams, and was eligible to go on to attend a top university of his choice. Instead, he was drawn to a military career in public service and enrolled as a cadet at the Benguima Military Training Academy in Sierra Leone. He graduated as a second lieutenant in 1987 when he was only still 23. His first deployment was to the Cambia district to support the government's efforts in implementing its economic emergency program. His task included combating smuggling and related crimes, worsening across the Sierra Leone-Guinea border. By 1990, a civil war was brewing across the border in Liberia, prompting the West African region to establish a peacekeeping force called the Economic Community of West African States Monitoring Group, ECOMOG. President Bio, a platoon commander in the Sierra Leone Armed Forces, was sent as part of Sierra Leone's ECOMOG contingent to support the peacekeeping efforts in Monrovia, Liberia. The following year, the armed conflict spilled over in the eastern region of Sierra Leone, when a group of rebels from the Revolutionary United Front, RUF, began an armed uprising. President Bio and his unit were recalled home and redeployed to the eastern region to counter the RUF's rebellion led by Fode Sanko. Sierra Leone had, since 1968, experienced authoritarian rule and the suppression of dissent under the then-ruling All People's Congress, APC. By 1978, a new constitution made the ruling APC the only legal political party in the country, turning an already de facto one-party state into one backed by law. Matters came to a head in 1992 when a group of young and determined military officers decided to intervene in what they considered a brutal dictatorship which oversaw a crumbling nation and plunged the country into decades of political and socio-economic doldrums. President Bio was one of the brave young military officers led by Captain Valentine Strasser to overthrow the dictatorship of President Joseph Saidu Momo in a bloodless coup and start a process to restore multi-party democracy. In the newly formed National Provisional Ruling Council, NPRC, President Bio served as Chief Secretary of State, Chief of Defense Staff, Minister of Information, Minister of Marine Resources, Deputy Head of State, and Head of State from 1992 to 1996. He was determined to be a force for change, to help end the years of corruption and inefficiency. He had no intention of replicating the brutal and corrupt government he had been a part of overthrowing. That was demonstrated when Strasser's leadership began to spin out of control and become increasingly untenable. Captain Valentine Strasser was removed in a bloodless palace coup, and President Bio effectively took control of the government on January 16, 1996. He set about ending the war raging across the country, restoring the ailing economy, and returning the nation to stable, democratic rule in a multi-party system. Although he was only head of state for 3 months, he was able to enter into the first peace talks with the elusive RUF rebel leader, Fode Sanko. In a famous radio broadcast, he offered to meet with Fode Sanko anywhere, anytime, and without precondition, and offered his rebels amnesty in search of peace and democratization. President Bio galvanized international support, including the backing of the presidents of Ivory Coast, Nigeria, Burkina Faso, and Ghana, to bring Fode Sanko to the negotiating table and end Sierra Leone's civil war. His diplomatic initiative convinced Fode Sanko and other high-ranking RUF rebels to attend a first round of peace talks in Yamoussoukro in the Ivory Coast. After overseeing Sierra Leone's first democratic elections in 3 decades, President Bio handed over power to the newly elected president, Ahmed Tijan Kaba, in March 1996, against strong opposition from trusted colleagues and friends at home and abroad. Even as a former soldier, he is resolute in his belief that the army has no place in politics. He put this belief into practice by walking away from power as soon as his goal of handing over to a democratically elected president was complete. President Julius Maada resigned from the military and lived in France for 6 months, studying French and public administration before proceeding to the United States with his family to further his education at the American University in Washington, D.C. He earned bachelor's and master's degrees in international relations and politics. About 2 decades later, President Bio became a senior research fellow at the University of Bradford in the United Kingdom, where he was pursuing a doctoral degree in peace studies before the urge of public service to his fatherland led him back to Sierra Leone in 2017. After his studies in the United States, President Bio returned to Sierra Leone in the early 2000s. He followed in his mother's footsteps and became a prolific entrepreneur and philanthropist. He successfully established the cocoa and coffee trading company Tropical Farms Limited and ventured into pharmaceutical and diamond businesses. His entrepreneurial flair created employment opportunities for young Sierra Leoneans and supported numerous students through formal education. President Julius Maada Bio has had a long walk to achieving political leadership. He joined the Sierra Leone People's Party, the SLPP, in 2005. He was soon seeking election as the party's leader and presidential flag bearer, an ambition he finally achieved in 2011 after years of dogged perseverance and fierce opposition from within the SLPP. In 2012, he fought a national election to challenge the incumbent president, Anes Bai Koroma of the APC. Although he didn't win, he received 37% of the vote and managed to establish the SLPP as a significant national opposition party. At the next general elections in 2018, as the presidential flag bearer of the SLPP, President Julius Maada fought on a message of giving Sierra Leone a new direction. A new direction for improving citizens' lives through education, inclusive growth, and building a resilient economy. He gained 52.8% of the votes to win the presidency in the runoff election and set about implementing his new direction mandate. His government's key mandate is human capital development, prioritizing providing access to free quality primary and senior secondary education, and strengthening tertiary and higher education. President Bio can be likened to President Nelson Mandela as a servant leader who pledged to put the needs of the people first. Since his inauguration in May 2018, his government has been firmly delivering on its promises to Sierra Leoneans and putting words into action through its development programs and initiatives. A leader of few words, he is renowned for letting his achievements do the talking, which is why he is often referred to as the talk and do president. Promoting democracy, the rule of law, and good governance are also central to his presidency. He is committed to an open and transparent government that is accountable to citizens. He believes there is no legitimate government other than one that is by the people and for the people. He applies this commitment of good governance to his work in the rest of Africa and the broader world as a respected Pan-African and global leader. He is the chairperson of the African Union's Committee of 10 heads of state and government on the reform of the United Nations Security Council, the C10. He is also the chairperson of the African Peer Review Forum of Heads of State and Government, the highest decision-making authority of the African Peer Review Mechanism, an instrument for the African Union member states to voluntarily self-monitor their governance performance. Part of this Pan-African vision entails advancing high-quality education opportunities that prepare the next generation for the 21st century world and breaking down gender barriers to give girls complete access to education. As co-chair of the high-level steering committee of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 4, he has pledged to ensure inclusive and equitable education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. His commitment to increasing girls' enrollment in schools has solidified his position as a champion for the Global Partnership for Education and Foundational Learning. His mission is to see access to equitable quality education become a foremost global priority, and he's working with other global leaders to achieve this. He remains optimistic that this transformation in global education will be achieved in our generation. However, he is keenly aware that our world is facing enormous challenges, from the COVID-19 pandemic and food and energy insecurities to political tensions and climate change. President Bio has never forgotten his mother and sister's profound role in his education. He remains indebted to them for the opportunities they gave him to learn and equip himself for life's challenges. His mother was not formally educated, but a visionary who dreamt of giving her children goals bigger than those she ever had access to, which drove her to send her children to school. She instilled those dreams into President Bio, as demonstrated by his commitment to providing the same educational opportunities for every child in Sierra Leone and building a generation of productive citizens with access to opportunities to fulfill their highest potential and improve their quality of life. This dream extends not just to Sierra Leone, but to the entire African continent and beyond. President Julius Maada Bio embodies statesmanship in its proper form and lends credence to what is achievable with the combined will of the people and a committed leader. He is married to Madam Fatima Bio and is a loving and devoted father. He instills that value of education, humility, hard work, and belief in God in his children. He looks to the future with much more optimism and renewed hope for the great possibilities ahead. President Julius Maada Bio knows there is no time to waste in positioning Sierra Leone and Africa on the road to greater success, like when he called on rebel leaders to embrace Sierra Leone's peace process in 1996 and led the country from dictatorship to democracy. He remains ready to work with all who want socio-economic development and prosperity in the Republic of Sierra Leone, Africa, and beyond.
Welcome back. You still